Hey guys, welcome back to Returnal today with a new video, and today I'm going to be helping you guys with some tips for Returnal. Now, Returnal is Sony's new game that just dropped on the PlayStation 5, and it is proving to be extremely difficult. A very tough game. I actually just beat it last night, and I still have quite a hard time with it. But along the way, I've come up with a few tips that might help you guys out, as I've seen a lot of people struggling with it, and there's definitely a steep learning curve as well as just a confidence curve from playing the game. So hopefully these tips help you guys out and improve your time with the game. Tip number 1 is to explore everything that you can. Explore everywhere. Now the reason I'm making this video, part of it is because I saw other tip videos giving pretty bad tips and, sort of things you might think are good in the beginning of the game, but as you play more and improve, you actually learn that you should explore more. As I've seen people say, just beeline the objective, go straight to the boss, sort of a thing. You definitely do not want to do that. This is a roguelite, and if you haven't played a lot of roguelites, you might just treat it like a regular Sony IP or a regular story game where you should just A to B, this is how you beat the game. And of course that is how you beat the game. You beat the boss and you go to the next area. But to beat the boss, you need to build yourself up, and that is why you need to explore everywhere that you can. You have a map, you can see all the doors you need to be in, and you need to go everywhere that you can and find everything that you can. And as part of this overarching explore everywhere tip, I'm going to give you guys a few quick ones really fast that will help you out in gaining obolites and better items, etc. There are these large statues with yellow eyes that look like this, and you can break them and they will give you obolites or the currency you need from breaking them. There's also rocks in the second biome that are yellow. Anywhere you see anything really yellow, you can either shoot it, melee it, it should give you money. In the first and fourth biome, there are these plants. In the first biome, there are purple plants that look like this. You can break those, and they sometimes have parasites, items, resin inside of them, all of which could help you on your run. You don't have to run everywhere and break every plant. Sometimes they give you money too, but if you just need a little edge, or you're in a room full of them, such as the one I'm showing now, you should break all of those and they may help you out. There are fake walls in the game that are cracked and rubble-ish. You can shoot through or melee through those. They'll have rewards behind them. There are also chests that you may find behind sort of graded walls that you might think, oh, you need an ability to get to that, or it's a secret that somehow you get into. There will be a button nearby. You don't need to leave. It'll be somewhere around. You shoot the button. It's always sort of this white dotted pyramid thing on the wall or the floor, somewhere nearby the chest, and that will open the grate, and then you can get the reward from inside. Just use your map, explore everywhere that you can, because you will find a lot of things that can help improve your chances of survival and of beating those bosses. Along with exploring everywhere comes tip number 2, which is to keep moving. Now this is mainly in combat. If you haven't played a shooter like this, and honestly I don't know if there really is a shooter like this, it's this frantic bullet hell. It's almost like Doom Eternal or Doom gameplay where you need to keep moving throughout the fight. It's not a cover shooter, it's not standing still, and if you try that, chances are you're going to have a pretty tough time. And you want to keep moving throughout the combat, and on top of that, you can always go out of a room. As long as you're not in a sort of mini-boss room where it says lockdown and it locks the doors, as long as that doesn't happen, you can leave a room or move on to the next room at free will. You don't need to kill everything right now. Now you should kill everything in the room, and you should loot everything in the room, but you can still, as of launch anyways, maybe they'll patch it, I don't know, it seems intended, you can still sort of door jiggle people where you go out a door into the next room, and that room's safe. With leaving the enemies behind, you can open the door, kill a few enemies, close the door. Open the door, kill a few, close the door. There's no shame in doing that, maybe a little bit, but if you are struggling or you're low on health, that will help you clear a room and then be able to go in, pick up the health items, and loot. Along with that, keeping movement constant throughout your fighting can help you run and pick up health items while you're fighting, as well as avoid the attacks of enemies, because most of them do come in a straight line at where you are, and as long as you're moving around and utilizing your dash, you can avoid a lot of damage that way. Now once you've cleaned out that room, tip number 3 is to prioritize weapons that you prefer, as well as ones that have a higher damage stat in the first stat, the bonus damage one. You may find a gun or something on the ground that is a bigger number than yours, like a total proficiency level. Maybe you have a 12 rocket launcher and you find a 16 assault rifle on the ground. The gamer brain is that number is bigger, big number is good, so you should take that one. But that's not always the case in this, and even the same can go for the same weapon to itself. So say you have a thermal launcher that's 10 and you find a 12 thermal launcher, But yours, of the 10, has 3 bonus damage and 2 handling, whatever. But this one has 0 bonus damage and like 6 handling, 6 reload speed. The number is bigger, it seems better, but it's actually not, as the bonus damage is the main stat that you're looking for on a weapon. And on top of that, if just because the weapon is a bigger number or has better stats, if it's something you don't feel comfortable using or aren't good with using, or even the biome you're in it doesn't work with, if you're in biome 2 or 6 and there's a lot of flying enemies, maybe the launcher sort of weapon isn't going to help you if you can't hit these flying small enemies. So work to your strengths, find a weapon you like. Don't get stuck with a weapon for the entire run, but unless the thing you're taking has higher bonus damage or is just a better weapon overall, there's no shame in staying with the one you have if it's working for you and continuing to improve your build in other ways. Don't artificially kneecap yourself just because the number is bigger on a gun you don't even like using. Just like with tip 3, tip 4 also comes with experience and with playing, and that's to know your build and to know your enemy as well and to work to your strengths. So to really remember, you do get a lot of items throughout a run, and it is hard, but you can stop with the touchpad at any time and check what you actually have in your build, what items you're rocking with right now, because knowing what you have can help you in situations and play better. Not every run is going to be the same, as well as learning the enemies, what they do. You will find yourself getting further and further, and this comes with experience, of course, but like I said, you can always stop and check what you have in your build and work towards those strengths. And just a small tip with this, if you're very new, the combat in this is that, of course, the enemies have a health bar. They also have sort of a stagger bar underneath of that. If you fill that, it'll go red and the enemy will be stunned. And this is on any enemy besides a boss. They will be stunned, and that's a perfect window for melee or an alt fire or something like that. Don't sleep on the melee because it is extremely good in this. The instinct is to stay far back and, poke enemies and don't go up there because that's where all the bullet hell comes at you. But if you are stunning an enemy, take the chance to melee. It's going to really save you, and you start to get that fluid movement going. Maybe you'll die here and there, but tip number 5 is do not be afraid to die, because this is a roguelite, and dying comes with the territory. Dying is how you learn, it's how you improve, and it even improves your runs, because as long as you get 3 ether in the beginning every run, you can add a new item to your runs before you leave your ship, and then it turns into 5 ether, 7 ether. But you gain more items, you gain more knowledge about enemies, biomes, and you just become a better player because you know how to react and you get more comfortable with the game that way. So don't be worried about dying, don't be afraid of dying. In my personal opinion, after finishing the whole game, the first boss is still the hardest boss. Not because he does the craziest moves or shoots the most bullets at you, but just because you don't have that good of a build at that point. And you don't have a good grip on the game at that point either, and it's intimidating running into that first boss. So the first boss is hard, it is a big hurdle, but once you're over that, you can really feel yourself start to get better at the game. So don't give up there. That first boss is a doozy, but don't be afraid to die. It's a roguelite. If you never died, you'd finish this whole full price game in like 4 hours, and then what are you going to do, You may as well die a couple times, try the run again, and you'll get a lot better as you go. And as well, dying helps move the narrative forward in this game, and it has an actual very strong narrative, so don't be worried about dying. And also don't be afraid to spend your ether on checkpoints. Now, I would say in the first biome, probably don't bother because it's not that far back to the ship if you have to do a full run again. But even after you beat that first boss and you're going to the second boss, if you die, you are starting over at the ship and you have to beat first biome, second biome. Now you don't have to beat the first boss again, but you do have to beat the whole biome again and then the second one. So my tip there is that it is okay to spend ether on these checkpoints. Now if you don't know what they look like, they're the big round, they got a shape of a sort of person standing in them, kind of like a T-posy thing, and it'll ask you to spend ether. Don't be afraid to spend your ether on these checkpoints, as they will help you out a lot. Now for example, I beat the first boss, and I'm into the second biome, and I'm getting near the second boss. I don't know what to expect from him, but I feel like I have a good build. If you feel like you have a good build and a good chance at beating the next area, at continuing to go, if you have a lot of health, a lot of good items, you have that good health, but you're afraid of what the boss might do, you spend a little ether on the checkpoint, you get to fight the boss and see what his moves are, learn about him. Maybe you die, go back to the checkpoint, now you know his whole first 2 phases, maybe his whole first 3 phases, what he's going to do. You will go back into the boss, and this is exactly what I did on the second boss, And now you know what to expect. You beat him on that run, and you keep going, and you make all the ether you spent right back, because it's really not that much. 5 ether, 5 ether, if it saves you 2 hours of a run, is a good investment. Don't be clutching onto it. Don't be afraid to spend it. You get it right back. Spend it when it's going to benefit you on those checkpoints, especially if it's a boss you haven't seen. Because just that glance at seeing him dying and getting to try again without starting over, just learning his moves gives you a large advantage and increases your chances of winning tenfold. That brings us to the final tip, which is learning to weigh your risk and your rewards from basically everything in the game, but especially malignant items, resins, and those checkpoints. The checkpoints, honestly, if you're on a good run, are going to always do you well, and when you learn to just kind of not worry so much about the ether, they're not going to be a problem. It seems expensive, but you get it back. But as far as malignant items go, I would say never use ether to cleanse like a malignant chest or anything like that. There's no need to do that. But as you play more, you're going to learn with experience that you do need to risk things to improve your build on your character, to improve your chance of survival in a run, especially deeper into a run when you have a good gun and you have good buffs that you can work off of. It's okay to take a malfunction every now and then on your suit and work it off, or find an item that gets rid of it. Stuff like that. Same with parasites. When I first started, I thought it was best to just ignore all the malignancies, ignore the risk, moderate chance at a malfunction, high chance, and I would just avoid it because, I'll just shoot the enemies, it'll be fine. I don't want to risk it, but risking it does give you the rewards that you need, and if you want to elongate your run and really power through the game, become stronger on that run, you need to risk it on some of these items. So I'd say any chest, moderate or below, you may as well just open it. Now, if you already have a malfunction, you can only have 2 malfunctions. If you gain a third one, I believe you just die immediately. So you only want to have at most 2 malfunctions, and then you want to work those off. Sometimes it's something extremely easy, like 3 melee kills, and the malfunction's gone, and you just got that pure buff of whatever the item was. Sometimes it's just gaining money, just playing, and you have to be a little more careful. And one final thing with that is the resins you can pick up. Not the malignant ones, I pretty much always avoid those, but the ones that will tell you, spoiled resin has a chance to hurt you or increase your max health. Now, if you're at full health, you may as well just pick these up, even if you have a decent amount of health. The amount that it damages you, if it even happens, is so small compared to the gains of increasing your health that the reward always outweighs the risk with these, unless you are legitimately in the red on health. You may as well take these because you're going to be finding healing items all over the place, but increasing your actual maximum health is going to give you, you can get a bar twice as long and past of your whole health before a boss. That's going to give you a much better chance within there. So it comes with experience, but you will slowly learn to weigh the risk and the reward. And if you're sitting on, stacks of health and you have a gun that you like and you're not too worried, you can take a malfunction every now and then and continue through the area. It will help your run overall. And it may just make a big improvement there that can save you from having to restart the whole thing. You might get through the next boss. You might find yourself doing very well. So I feel like this video went a little long, but I hope this helped you guys out a lot. I wanted to give tips that were a little deeper to them that will actually help you guys improve, and things to think about while you're playing, because this is an extremely hard game. Hang in there, don't give up. Try some of these things I was talking about. Try and think about what you're doing while you're playing and what's going to benefit your run and what's not, and you will see a lot of improvement there. But again, don't be in a huge rush, as playing this game is, that's the joy in and of itself. The combat is very tight. It's just a great game overall. I really enjoyed my time with it, and I'm going to be putting up a full spoiler review of it coming hopefully in the next couple of days, at least in the next week, a full review of the game. So if you want to see that, check it out. If this helped you, let me know down below, leave a like. If you have any questions, ask me down below. I finished the whole game. I should be able to help you out a little bit anyways if you have any questions. And I thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. One more thing right before I go. If you're new and you just saw this video and you watch it because you are really struggling, if you're new and you can't get past that first boss, you can actually go to one of those teleporters, teleport back to your ship, and sleep on the bed. This will fully heal you. A lot of people don't know this, and I actually beat the game without even knowing this. I never used it. But if you really can't get through that boss, or you're scared to go in because your health is hurting and you can't heal, you can go back to your ship, heal, and then teleport back and fight the first boss. This is only going to be good for the first boss, but that's sort of, like I said, the big hurdle and the big hump. And if you can get through that, then you can get through anything. Doesn't get easier, but you do get better as you go. So hopefully this helped you guys out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.